What's good, everybody? This your boy Twice,
And it's your girl Tay.
and this is another episode of Facts and Feelings. Today, we're going to chop it up and talk a little bit about when the family feuds. We know the family has multiple reasons why they could feud, right, Tay?
Right.
Right.
Indeed.
So, we're going to jump into it in a minute, but we're going to get some people some time to get on. Excuse me. And for those that are on, we're going to run that commercial as we normally do to give y'all time to share this out with your family, your friends, your page, and all that good stuff. We'll be right back. We're going to let this intro roll.
I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry stop the bill. I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry stop the bill. I wonder if it's facts that you feeling. I love the fact you chillin'. These hours fly by when you and I is chillin'. These hours fly by, feel like a couple minutes. Seen you on my timeline. Hold up, wait a minute, Twice and Tay. Yeah, you know they always catching up. Keep us up to date, cause it's hard to keep up through the day.
What's going on? And that was the intro. You back with your boy Twice.
And your girl Tay.
Hey, look, and we hadn't said this in a minute, so I want to go on and shout out my brother, Classmatic, out of Dallas, Texas, via LA. He did that intro for us. So we thank him for that intro. That thing kind of jamming. It sounds good to me every time I hear it, Ty.
It does.
All
I'm
right. So
always still singing it in the background.
right. It just do something. It got a little ring to it. And it's one of those things. I forget what G normally says, but it's got, I think, recall. He calls it recall when it keeps coming back up in your memory and things of that nature. And it's one of those that you out of nowhere just kind of drop in your ear and you just jam into that thing. But this week, as we already said, we're gonna kind of talk about when the family feuds, and there was something that recently happened that kind of triggered the conversation for us to talk about it. So we're gonna dig into that a little bit today. But we always give you a facts and a feeling, right? We got a viewer that jumped on. Thank you for joining. Go on and share it out. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you do take the time to type it in the comment box, and we will be able to see it. We're going to talk about when the family feuds, right? And so there's a fact that the reality is when certain things go on in a family, the family do feud. How do we feel about it? Hadn't talked about this with Tay, but I think Tay will agree. When the family feuds, I don't feel like nobody wins because family,
Mhm.
that's not what family is supposed to do. So again, that's the fact and the feeling, and we're gonna chop it up a little bit. There are multiple reasons why the family will feud. I'll probably get Tay a few. She might have a few, but take on and if you want to say anything before we just really dive in.
No, you can go ahead. I just think this is just so timely with everything that's going on that we're going to kind of get into in a minute. And then also, I think it's consistent, just in so many families. So, yeah, I'm just
Right.
ready to jump on into it.
Look, and honestly, when you said that, something actually dropped in my head that I hadn't even thought of. But the main thing that I've been thinking about Tay is family. Mother,
Hmm.
father, brother, sister, cousin, auntie, uncle, things of that nature. But I kind of remember something that my mom once told me when I had lost a good friend of mine. She just said, "How did she word that?" She said, "You don't have to be blood to be family." So
That's right.
sometimes the family feuds, and it's not even your family, but it's your family. And
Right.
and I'll kind of loop back around and see why I came to that. But there are multiple reasons that I like to say why the family feuds. Uh, those things can range from anything from just mistrust, uh, differences of opinion, feelings of being wrong, underlying issues, just feeling like you're being treated unfair. And sometimes it's just something as simple as personal differences. One of the things that really kind of sparked this for me, and I sent it to Tay and some of my other family members, was the passing of John Amos. We know that John Amos passed here recently. And I think one of the good things was the media actually found out about it late.
Yeah.
TMZ always on the scene, right? And they know
Right.
everything before it happened. But this one, we found out that he had been deceased for a while before the media actually ran with it.
Hmm.
And so, this was in foresight a good thing that the family was able to keep it quiet, it don't get out there. But then I found out on the backside that there was some family drama going on, and this is kind of
Yeah.
the reason that made it so easy to not get out. Ran against a post across a post that his daughter made, and for those that's viewing, I actually put the link in there. You can see it in the comments. But looked like he has a daughter named Amy Gotti who made a Facebook post and was pretty much saying, I guess, that there was a brother or is a brother named Kelly Casey Amos, and Casey, Eugene Brumman, and Belinda Foster, and some more was kind of keeping him away from the family. And there were some questions of if he was even being abused by, allegedly, by this child son, Casey. Said the Casey was portraying a good father son relationship, but they said that John suffered from dementia, and Casey would often verbally give verbal prompts to create a narrative on social media that was not true. And they was just had some people to reach out to him, neighbors and friends, to kind of say that he may have been experiencing elderly abuse. And of course, we don't know him personally. This is something that we read by a Amy Gowdy that's supposedly his child or his daughter. That's a different take on keeping things quiet, Hunter.
Yeah, and I would say Amy Amy's not actually his daughter. That Shannon Amos is actually his daughter. But Miss Gowdy actually posted it because she's a family friend. I really think that she may be the mom to his goddaughter.
I
So
didn't know she said our father. I got you.
yeah. So what she was doing was sharing the release from the family on behalf of the family. So
Got you.
yeah, but Shannon was actually
I
is
do see
actually
that
his
name at
daughter.
the bottom. Sincerely, Shannon, and had a list
Yeah.
of other relatives as well.
Hmm. Right. So it's Shannon and KC. And so yeah, I think it's a very unfortunate situation, and you kind of touched on some stuff when you first kind of started, when you were talking about some of the things that caused the families to get into feuds and everything. And we know unfortunately death, you know
Right.
is
Yeah.
is always kind of that number one thing. Death, and then the thing that follows it is usually money.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, well, most times the money is always tied to a death,
Right.
because family always feel like there's something there that somebody's gonna get that they're not gonna tell somebody else about, or they want to make sure they get their cut. And sometimes people are on the outside looking in and really don't know what the factual matters are in the situation, and they assume that there's money, or they assume that people have done something wrong, and it often leads to these family feuds, which have the families fighting and bickering back and forth that can lead to violence and revenge. And that's what it's kind of looking like here. Is there some sense of revenge or feelings of revenge because of some previous vendettas or something that they already had? It's clear to see that there was something long standing. And so I just think that we do our loved ones that have passed away a disservice when this is what's left behind. This is what we're doing after they passed away. I don't think that there's no family member that's passing away, or at the point of transitioning, that want to see their families going back and
You
forth with each other.
right.
Yeah. And so I think that in this situation, it appears that, like I said, it was already something that was already,
Brewing.
long standing.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And
won't even
because,
say brewing. You said it right. Long standing.
right, because
Right.
they mentioned that this was something that was similar to what happened when the mom passed away.
Ah.
Um, and so just from reading the report that was put out, so I think when it comes down to things of this nature, if you have siblings or um, loved ones that don't get along, I think we have to get to a point where we're not holding that loved one that is ill or transitioning captive. We're not using them as a pawn to keep other people away. Sometimes you got to protect your family. You know what I'm saying? If it comes
Absolutely.
down to it, you got to protect them from
Right.
other people. But I don't think that it needs to be something where you're keeping them away from their loved one,
Right.
knowing that they're in a situation where they're transitioning, because we can't, like we talked about last week, death is final. It's not something you can come back and get. So we can't go back and say my bad. You know what I'm saying? It's too late.
Definitely, it's definitely final. And I kind of threw some things out there, not threw, but play some things out there with mistrust, difference of opinion, and a lot of times, we some of that families do feud outside of a death, but I think one of the times, as you said, where you see a great disagreements or great feuding, is when a loved one has passed on. Like that time, that just show you how the enemy creep in, because that
Mm-hmm.
time we really supposed to have our shoulder for our loved one to lay on, our arms open to embrace them, because we are hurting, right? The enemy
Mm-hmm.
creeps in, and like greed steps in a way. Uh, People want things or have. I've even seen in families where they feel like the person that was deceased might have had a whole bunch of something that they really didn't have. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they want to know where they part or where they cut. Like, bro, we over here trying to agree. What you really may not know is they didn't have what you thought they had.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, some of the family had to pull together and make sure that this person gets buried.
Right.
Or that, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying, that this person has a proper home going. And
Mm-hmm.
you're worried about what you gonna get.
Right.
And so now where we're already tore up, now we toe up.
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Now we
Mm-hmm.
didn't went from grieving because we lost a loved one to fighting and cursing one another out and
Yeah.
not speaking and blasting each other on social media. And that ain't how our loved one wants us to be.
Right. And I think the reality of it is, let's keep it real. I think if people just be, 100 about it and just tell them, hey, look, I know, Big Mama gone. Um, I'm grieving her. These are some things that I got going on. I ain't trying to get no money, but if there's anything, this can help me get out of this crunch that I'm in. Or so I'm just being honest with people and tell them that what kind of situation that you're in, but don't use that time to say, well, she would have wanted me to have this or she would have wanted me to have that. I think I saw something that somebody mentioned today, and I think it was so vital. And just by way of preventing other people from being in this kind of situation,
Uh-huh.
I think it's important that we all go ahead and get a living will in place. You don't
Agreed.
have to get no attorney involved. You can go to a notary while you're still in your right mind, and you don't have to worry about nobody questioning whether or not you were competent, you were forced to do something. While you're still in your right mind, go ahead and get something in writing, dated with a notary sign, so that you can lay out how you want your affairs to be handled, who you want to get this, who you want to be over that, and it can be put in place for you, and we don't even have to worry about the bickering and arguing over what is not already understood. Now, granted,
Agreed.
some people still gonna have something to say. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They still gonna have something to say, still gonna be wanting a piece of the pie, But if you put your affairs in order now, then we can avoid some of that, because you may feel like I don't need to do no will because I don't have millions of sitting in the bank. I'm not a millionaire or a thousandaire. If you ain't nothing but 100 there,
Right.
in some situations, you just gotta have these things in place, because people don't really know what's in your bank account. They don't know what your coins look like. But like you just said, people on the outside looking in, and you may be going to the thrift store getting all these high end things for a little of nothing and looking the part, but really your account ain't lined up with it. But people think you got something. But
Mhm.
whatever you got, if you go ahead and get your affairs in order now, you can avoid some of that. Hey,
Right.
I want, John over planning my funeral. I want, Lisa to get my car. I want, this person to do that. And you
Mm,
can even have a family meeting with your family and say, this is the reason why I'm doing it, even though if it's your stuff, it ain't their business why you doing it. But you can
right,
go ahead and lay it out to say, I want Lisa to get my car because I know Lisa's a single mom with 3 children and
right,
barely, able to get back and forth. So this is why I'm doing this. You go ahead and lay your stuff on out there so you don't have to worry about all this bickering and stuff, with your families.
right,
Because this is very unfortunate.
right. And I'll add to that two things that came to mind as you were talking. I'll speak on the latter one first. You're right. You shouldn't have to put down why you giving your stuff to anybody. But I do think that's a great point because I think it's helpful because when whoever reads that this is what Kim, John, or James get, then it's like, well, why they get that to them? You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I
Right,
knew they
right.
always liked them more. Now there's more attention because this person is gone, and because they felt in their heart to leave what was theirs to a particular person.
Mm-hmm.
Now people will use that to create a bigger wedge.
Right,
And
right.
another thing that I was gonna say is I'm glad that you mentioned the living will because here's what I think. I think in a perfect world, uh, and I'll just use us, I would think that if something happened to me or if something would happen to you, we would like, well, we ain't got to worry about that because Tay gonna handle it. Or Tay don't have to worry about that because D gonna handle it. But I said that to use as an example, but to you that may be the listener, the Lord may have it to where you go together. So now you leaving your children in a bind or your loved ones in a bind. I was talking to our friend Kathy from Mississippi State the other day, and she was just kind of talking about how she's the only child, and it's certain things that she will probably do. When the Lord calls her home, because not only is she the only child, but she has no children. So there's all kind of different situations where if you're the only child and your parents leave before you, and then you don't have any children, then you'll be surprised who be fighting over your stuff. It ain't even your kids. You know what I'm saying? It's people. It could be anybody. That's a
Right.
whole nother tunnel to go down. But it could be anybody, neighbors, friends, anybody coming over to your house, picking up stuff that's yours. That
Mm-hmm.
you might have wanted that to go to the Goodwill. You might have
Right.
wanted that to go here because the person that pick. And here's another thing that I want to say because we were talking about money, but we've known from conversations we had with others, but the people at somebody that we know funeral, like people was actually taking plants.
Yeah.
You know, they were taking plants that belonged to the family. They were sneaking plants, putting them in their car.
Mm-hmm.
People would take photos and pictures. Like it, I hate that it's the money, but then I even hate that it's something that's so minute. But people just want a piece of the pie. Yeah, they want something to hold on for memory's sake, but it's the right way to do everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can't be sneaking stuff to your car
Right.
before it get into the family limousine
Right. That
and take
makes
it
no
back to Ohio
sense.
with you.
Yeah. 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 I mean, and even in my own family, we had a loved one to pass away, and we found out that while we were in the funeral, people were sneaking into the family car, taking like some of those memorabilia, like you talking about, that was actually supposed to be for certain family members. They were taking it
Right,
because they snuck out there, you know what I'm saying? And they just
right,
went to taking stuff.
right,
Like, what are you doing? You know what I'm
right,
saying? Like, it doesn't make sense. And so, just in a nutshell, we know that family conflict and everything is normal. But I was reading something where it said it's the repair part, that's necessary. It's the repair that we really have to kind of work on, because we're gonna always have conflict, whether it's in your family, your friendships, on your job, whatever. But we have to be able to acknowledge the offense, try to understand the hurt that you may have caused. And I mean, it don't matter if it was intentional or unintentional or what the reasons were, just acknowledge it, and so that you can move forward and move past it. Yeah, because sometimes family members go through these things when somebody pass away and you never talk again, and you never know when you really, really need your family.
right,
So I think it's just important that we acknowledge it and we try to work through it. um, that might be that only family member that can offer you some type of, blood transfusion or whatever the case may be. Like, we need each other. We need to understand we need each other. That relationship is necessary. You know what I'm saying? It's necessary. You may say, I don't need nobody, but we do. We all need somebody. We do. And so
Absolutely.
we, as family, we need to try to stay together. We don't need to use situations that we can't go back and rectify, and because we're holding these vendettas against people, especially in this situation, like, John Amos. Like, it's very unfortunate that his children find out, his child find out, and brother and other family members, over a month later, that he's passed away.
Right. Right.
I know they say that they believe he may have been cremated, so there's nothing that can be done in terms of an autopsy. Sometimes it becomes overwhelming when you're taking care of a loved one that has a health issue. And if you can just mend those issues and that feud that you have going on for just a little bit, then we can share that load and caring for that loved one and take some of that stress off. So,
Right.
yeah,
And I think that's the way that every ancestor or grandparent, parent would want it to be, or
right,
have it
yeah,
to be, is that we pull together, like you said. And I think that's kind of, goes back to the title, When the Family Feuds. And we kind
yeah,
of said in the facts and the feelings that nobody win, because yeah, you might have snuck in the family car and took this. You might have snuck in the hearse or one of the funeral vehicles, and got that plant, like it's what's happened
hmm,
in my family. you
yeah,
know, uh, and that particular, sometime when people buy something as small as a plant, it's for the family, but sometimes the card will say it's for a specific person.
right, right,
It could
exactly.
be that person's job. Like,
Hmm.
we know you lost your grandmama, so we got this flower for you, not for
Right.
cousin Junior boy that that we don't know up in Illinois. Why he got
Yeah.
it? Then you get
Hmm.
back to work and they want to know, how did you like the flower or the plant? Like, what plant? I don't know who
Hmm.
got that. And
Yeah.
so here's what I'll say: where we say nobody wins, you might have got what you wanted, but man, you really lost. Because now the family that you might need for whatever, it could be something like you said, is huge as an organ. You know what I'm saying? You might be the
Hmm.
one to have that. Like, man, nah, I'm not. Nah, like God, well, I won't say nah, but God might really have to deal with me to give you
Hmm.
my kidney, and you took
Yeah.
my grandmama plant. We know the organ is
Yeah.
bigger, but like,
Right.
yeah, and I won't even say that you might never know that that person is a match because you've
Hmm.
severed the relationship
Right.
over some
Mm.
minor. Like, and I think in a situation where I was talking about, and I know people might feel like it's repetitive talking about a plant, but it was a plant that was specific for somebody. But you could have got another one. But the one you
Yeah.
took just wasn't the right one to take. Like, we would have gave you another
Yeah. But to be honest, even in that situation, that person may not have even wanted the plant and might have been willing to
one.
give it to you. But the fact of the matter was, it wasn't for you. So everything comes down to communication and everything, and not, doing stuff, being trifling,
That's
in
it.
certain situations. So, yeah, I definitely think, when a family feuds, they need to find out what the situation is, find out the why behind, this feud, figure out a way to overcome it. You got to have some compromise. You got to be willing to own up to your wrongdoing on both ends. Both parties do, and just move past it. Life is too short. It's even shorter than just thinking that it's too short. It's
Right.
extremely short. And at the end of the day, we as people need to make sure we have our business in order, as far as making it simple and plain, having it written down, given to important persons and parties to know exactly what it is that you want and how you want things to go in the event of your demise, so we can eliminate some of this.
Agreed. And as we may have said, it might seem minor, it might seem minute, but what you're doing is when you do those things, you're taking those burdens off of your other loved ones that might have to
Absolutely.
that may have to deal with that or fix that or respond to that. Like, just go on
Mhm.
and put it in place. Uh,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
after you gone, you shouldn't have to be worried about what's going on here on earth. But the reality of it is, something as simple as doing that can make things better.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. So, y'all get your stuff in order, y'all. Get your business in order. Help to alleviate, even with you on the other side, help to alleviate some extra stuff going on with these families, so we can avoid some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Help these folks help themselves. You feel me?
Yes, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, is that about it for today, Tay?
That's it for today.
All right, y'all. Well, we definitely, once again, thank y'all for joining this week's episode of Facts and Feelings. When the Family Feud, this is your boy Twice,
And it's your girl Tay.
and this is another episode of Facts and Feelings.
Amen.
I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry stop the pill. I wonder if it's facts or feelings that you're feeling. I don't know if you know what's for real. Baby, just relax and chill. Let the tea spill. I bet the chemistry stop the pill. I wonder if it's facts that you feeling. I love the fact you chillin'. These hours fly by when you and I is chillin'. These hours fly by. Feel like a couple minutes. Seen you on my timeline. Hold up, wait a minute. Twice